Welcome back to National Report. Washington, D.C. is a lot quieter this morning, the day after rioters rushed into the Capitol building, forcing lawmakers to evacuate in the middle of the Electoral College vote. The president made a statement this morning saying even though he disagrees with the outcome of the election, there will be a peaceful transition on January 20th. We're joined now by our panel to discuss Republican strategist and attorney Peter Lamaj, as well as Thane Rosenbaum, a distinguished university professor at Touro College and the author of this book, Saving Free Speech from Itself. Good to see you both here. As we know, social media has appeared to lock the president's accounts, but he did issue a statement through Dan Scavino's Twitter account. He said this, quote, "Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. I have always said we would continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. While this represents the end of the greatest first term in presidential history, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again," end quote. Peter, I'll start with your reaction to the president's response and all the chaos that ensued at the Capitol yesterday.
Look, there is no doubt in my mind, and I think that there are 75 million Americans out there that they believe the president, they trust the president. We never doubted that the transfer of power will be peaceful. He just wanted to exhaust the legal system first to make sure that our vote was counted, and 75 million people who voted for him, their votes were counted. What happened with the media for the past at least 8 months or 9 months, they've been portraying the president and his supporters as terrorists, as criminals, as people who are on the wrong side of history over here. The president led this nation for 4 years to a number of success stories that we can count. And I think the promise that he made today by saying that the transfer of power is going to be peaceful, it is going to be peaceful. But the other part of the promise is that he's going to remain involved. And whether we like it or not, I believe that the Republicans are going to have to deal with Trumpism, even if it's without Trump. But we're happy to hear that he's going to remain involved. He's been a great leader.
You know, the president obviously releasing a video remark and then those tweets as well before they were taken down, condemning the violence. We've heard from Republicans all yesterday condemning the violence, Democrats as well condemning the violence, Joe Biden coming out and speaking against the violence. Meantime, Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar tweeted this out yesterday, saying that she is drawing up articles of impeachment. Donald J. Trump should be impeached by the House of Representatives and removed from office by the United States Senate. We can't allow him to remain in office. It's a matter of preserving our republic, and we need to fulfill our oath. Thane, the president remains in office for 13 more days. Your reaction to the Congresswoman's appeal at trying to impeach him?
Look, Emma, the eyes of the world were watching, and we are the world's oldest democracy. So we have an obligation to all democracies and to ourselves to have a peaceful transfer of power. What the Congresswoman is invoking is essentially saying that he needs to be impeached because a very strong message needs to be sent that what looked yesterday was an insurrection. That's essentially what she's saying. The president today, this morning, seems to be clarifying this is not an insurrection. This was, an accident, and it's not something that he believes in. I hope that's exactly true, because he did use the words yesterday, you can't take the country back by weakness. And look, it could have been the perfect demonstration of democracy in action. Tens of thousands of people come on Washington exercising their First Amendment right to assembly and speech to make their opinions known. 60 lawsuits were dismissed. They didn't feel that they were heard. Congress was going through a joint session of Congress to debate for 6 hours the outcome of 3 states. It could have been America at its best, and it unfortunately came out to look at as America at its worst.
As we saw earlier in the day, there were tens of thousands of protesters, as you say, expressing their First Amendment right, peacefully so. And now clearly the conversation and attention has all turned to the chaos and violence that we saw play out in the Capitol. But I want to talk to you both about why everyone was there in Washington to begin with. As you say, the Constitution, it was at work as the Electoral College votes were being counted by both the House and Senate here. And we heard from one senator in particular, a GOP one, Lindsey Graham, a Republican from South Carolina, calling President-elect Joe Biden lawfully elected and urging his Senate colleagues, saying enough is enough regarding the election fraud allegations. Watch this.
All I can say is count me out. Enough is enough. I've tried to be helpful. But when the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled 4-3 that they didn't violate the Constitution of Wisconsin, I agree with the 3, but I accept the 4. If Al Gore can accept 5-4, he's not president. I can accept Wisconsin 4-3.
And Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas, also releasing a statement in it telling the president to accept the election results and, quote, quit misleading the American people. Peter, you know, yesterday we did see Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz. They came forward and they objected to the results from the Electoral College. Again, they were citing that what they believed was fraud in the election and something that should be investigated. And this is a divide within the Republican Party. You have many recognizable Republican names here, and yet they had very different approaches last night. Peter, where does the party go from here?
Look, I'm not surprised that some of these Democrats actually are not standing up for the president. These are political calculations for their future. Some of them are thinking about seeking the nomination for the next presidency within the Republican Party. And some of them were never supporters of the president. Where were these elected officials during the 2016 and 17 and 18 when we had riots, when you had the Democrats who never accepted President Trump as legitimate? When were these people when President Obama or Hillary Clinton or 53 Democrats refused to participate at the inauguration of our president? Where were they when we had riots by Black Lives Matter and Antifa, when they were burning the place down, when they were attacking Republicans, when they tried to assassinate Congressman Scalise? These people didn't take those positions at that time as strongly that they are taking now against the president. I agree with them that at the end we have to have peace. We have to allow liberty to succeed over here. We have to bring law and order in our nation. And the president actually is taking that lead. He's calling upon his supporters that we must accept it at this point that the next president is going to be Biden. And look, we have to respect the will of the people at the end. And if that is the case, the president is taking that lead. But some of these Republicans are making those political calculations for their own future.
Very interesting analysis. Appreciate you both taking the time this morning. Peter and Thane, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.